Welcome to Equip Daily Bible Study. I'm your host, Brad DuFault, and we've been looking at Jesus' most famous teaching, the teaching on the hill, from Matthew 5, 6, and 7. We're on the second half of Matthew 5, where Jesus has been talking about commands that the people think they understand, but really it's way harder to follow these than they thought. We're going to look at two in a row now about enemies, one today and one tomorrow. Our one for today is a don't. And that lesson is don't bite your friends. Wrong video, sorry. It's don't take revenge. So let's go ahead and read Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 41. If you don't have a Bible, I got a link in the description for you. Jesus quotes a passage from the Old Testament that says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. As in, if you put out someone else's eye, then you could lose yours. If you knock out someone else's tooth, you could lose yours. This is a statement that Jesus' audience completely misunderstood. This was about what the government was supposed to do, the kings and the judges. So if someone did something wrong, they were supposed to be punished, and the punishment was supposed to fit the crime. You weren't supposed to punish them way more than what they did. This was never about individual people taking revenge on each other. The government needed to, because if they don't do it, if the kings and judges don't punish people, then the whole place is going to be absolutely crazy. But individual people are not supposed to do this, and God has said that all along in His Word. Jesus says we should turn the other cheek. What does that mean? He's saying that if someone slaps you on one cheek, kapow, that we should turn the other cheek and they could get us on the other one too. He's not saying we should let people hit us or anything like that. He is saying that even if someone gets us again, we shouldn't try to take revenge on them. No matter how many times someone gets us, we should not take it upon ourselves to get revenge and pay them back. Now, there's nothing wrong with blocking the slap or stepping backwards so it sails safely past your face. But that's not really what we want, is it? We want to pay someone back. We want revenge. We like revenge in real life and especially in movies. Most big money movies are all about revenge. The bad guy does something terrible, and so the good guys kick and stab and shoot their way back to him, wiping out everyone in their path, and they take out the bad guy once and for all, and we're like, yeah, get him. But in real life, there are big problems with revenge. You got Frank over here, and he does something bad to George over here, okay? So George is like, I'm going to pay you back, and bow, he gets him back. George thinks it was fair. Frank thinks that he paid him back too hard. So he's like, now I need to settle the score. Kapow, back to George. Now George is thinking, dude, we were even before. I got you back and we were cool. So now you're really going to get a cacao. And it's going to go back and forth, and it's going to lead to bloodshed and evil and all sorts of problems we see in the world. And on top of that, it's never satisfying because you are not their judge. God is. You see, God never says vengeance is bad. Instead, in Romans 12 and other passages, he says, vengeance is mine. It is my job to repay people. But wait a second. Didn't Jesus just say we shouldn't take revenge? Yes, we shouldn't, and that's because we are not God. After all, God is all-knowing, so he knows exactly what's fair. He is completely sinless, and he created us, so he's in charge of us. That all makes him our judge. So you and I should never take revenge on people. It's never our job to pay someone back for the wrong they've done. But here's something really cool about God. Even he doesn't want to punish us. He says in Ezekiel 33, I take no pleasure in the death of the wicked. I just want them to turn from their ways. You see, God punishes evil in his good world, but he loves us and wants to bless us. So he came up with an amazing, loving solution. That is, that he became one of us, and then he took on the punishment for all the things that we have done wrong. This was what Jesus did. That was Jesus, God in human form. And it says in Isaiah 53, he was punished for our rebellion, crushed for our sins. He was beaten so we could be whole. He was whipped so we could be healed. All of us, like sheep, have strayed away. We have left God's paths to follow our own, yet the Lord laid on him the sins of us all. And because Jesus took on all of our sin, we can be forgiven if we receive that forgiveness from him. What an amazing God. So the next time you're feeling vengeful, someone got you and I gotta get them back, instead of taking revenge, take those thoughts, that anger, and take it up with God. Talk to him about it, and do your best to not take revenge. In fact, don't take revenge doesn't go nearly far enough. What Jesus calls us to do is way more, and you saw it in the passage that you read. He didn't just say, don't slap the person back. He said, if someone takes your shirt, give them your coat also. If someone makes you walk a mile, that's not cool, but you should walk 2 miles with them. In other words, you should love your enemies. And that is what we will talk about next time. And until then, be strong in grace.